Hello and welcome back to my channel. This is a Bibliophile Doctorate, and if you're new here, a very warm welcome. So in this channel I talk about books, fiction, non-fiction, and maybe sometimes essay if I find any interesting ones. So today I am deviating from the general reviews or my thoughts about the book to giving you a few of book recommendation. So recently I had a conversation with one of my friends where they are trying to get back into the habit of reading, and they find it very difficult to read a very long book or a book which is very deep, philosophical or very theme heavy. So they wanted me to give them a curated list or maybe one or two book recommendation which they can start, which is simple and they can enjoy the process of reading. So that got me into thinking that how in the present day, in the doom scrolling, almost like a pandemic, we are so glued to our screen, we are scrolling mindlessly that it has impacted our attention span, and this is it's a known knowledge to everybody at this point of time. Adding to that is the AI slop. Like literally we have summary of every single thing. It's almost like presented to us on a platter. Like a few days back I was trying to read an article, and the reader on which I was reading it just prompted, this prompt came up that if I wanted it to provide a summary, because it was quite a long article, and it got me into thinking, like in this situation it's very important so that we have some books which helps us to easily get back to the reading, to enjoy reading and books as we used to when we were kids, and the joy of reading was something else for those of us who used to be bookworm. And also I thought, while I would be recommending this definitely for the adults, there should also be a few recommendations which any of you can recommend or pick up for your children to get them into a habit of reading. So today's recommendation is going to be very age friendly. Anybody from any age can read it, and if you're somebody who wants to introduce your kids to reading, you want yourself to get into the habit of reading or get back to reading, so this video is definitely for you. Watch till then, because I have some very good recommendation, and I will be coming up with some subsequent parts in the upcoming days. So stay tuned. If you have not subscribed, please do, because you will get to know when I come up with part 2 or part 3. So to start with today's video, today's recommendation would be on children's literature, because as I was saying that it is friendly for all age group, and I felt that children's literature is a very good way of getting out of a reading slump, because it's simple, it's short, there are short chapters, the language is very easy to understand, the story flows, it gives you the joy of reading for the first time again. And also I realized one thing, that children's literature has a lot of wisdom and lot of lesson hidden it, so we don't realize it when we read it as a child, but as an adult, when you reread it again and again, a lot of thought, like a lot of lessons and words of wisdoms are hidden between the line. So enough of talking, so let's directly dive into the recommendations. The first book I have is very generous to our current attention span. You can see such a thin book, and this is The Little Prince. This is one of my absolute favorite of all time. I read it when I was a child, when the primary section of the school, and when I started having my own book collection, even though I've read it as a child, I wanted to have it in my collection, and since then I have read it 3 or 4 times already. So I think most of you have heard about The Little Prince. For those who haven't heard about it, to give you an idea, so there is this little prince who stays in one of the planets, and he decides to visit the other planets. He decides to explore the world, so he visits to other planets, he lands, and he meets very interesting eccentric adults who are doing what they are doing. There's a geographer who is writing books, and when the prince asks him like whether he have traveled to all those places, geographer says no. So it shows how as adult we do things living mindlessly, but from a children's perspective it's very odd. And finally this little prince reaches Earth, and here he meets a stranded pilot and a fox. Basically the beauty of this book is that it's small, the story kind of flows, and there is a awe in this book from a child's eye, and this is absolutely something which can pull you out of a reading slump, and this is something which you can introduce for your kids as a bedtime read. And as an adult, when I read it the second, third, fourth time, I could see the wisdom and the truths that are hidden between the lines in this small children's book, and it is more true in today's world than any time else. So the second recommendation for today is The Wonderful Visit of Oz. So this is another of the children literature, and the something which I read in school, and this is also one of the book that helped me personally get out of a reading slump when I was in a reading slump some 4 or 5 years back. And I finished this as one go, because after a long time I've read any children's literature, and it did help me. So this publication has a lot of beautiful pictures. So to give you an idea about the storyline of The Wonderful Visit of Oz, it follows Dorothy. She is a small girl and she's swept out by a wind and is thrown into another land. So she wants to get back to the home. But she doesn't know the way, and the people around her advises her to go and seek help from this powerful Wizard of Oz. They say that he's so powerful, he's so kind and generous wizard, and he helps people out, and there are things that he can do nobody else can. So he's the only person who can actually send you back home. So Dorothy was very hopeful, so she takes this journey to find this Wizard of Oz. So the story continues when Dorothy takes this journey, and on the way she meets a few of the friends who will tag along with her, because they are all taking this journey to find the Wizard of Oz, and they each have their own sorrow, their own problems which they want the Wizard of Oz to solve them. So it's a beautiful journey through which Dorothy and all their friends discover themselves, and there is an anticipation in the story, like there is wisdom, there is anticipation, like just like the Little Prince. When you read it as an adult, you will find the wisdom and you find the lessons which are there between the words, and this anticipation is whether or Dorothy and her friends will find the Wizard of Oz, what will happen when they find the Wizard of Oz. So it's a beautiful children's literature, and it can definitely help you get out of a reading slump or start your reading journey. So the third book in this today's recommendation is The Railway Children by E. Nesbit. So this is a book which I didn't read as a child, and I got it when I was kind of browsing books to get, and this popped up as a recommendation on the website, and I ordered it out of my instinct, because it seemed very interesting when I read the small summary which they provide, and I didn't regret ordering it, because it is such a simple, sweet, hopeful story. So those who don't have an idea about what this is about, because I also didn't know about this existing, it's a gem of a children's literature. So this follows 3 siblings, and they are from a privileged rich family. They have loving parents who play with them, give them time, but there's a change in circumstances when their father is taken away for reasons unknown to them. So there's a change in the financial situation. They have to let go of the beautiful house they live in, and with their mother they shift to a more modest living condition in a suburb near a railway station. And the story actually follows this children's journey of in the change situation, in this new situation, and this shows how resilient children are. Like they are in a different situation, the economic condition is not as favorable as it was before, so they use their curiosity, their resilience, their kindness, and how they kind of get adapted to this new life, and how they kind of meet the people who work in the railway station, and how their acts can have an impact on so many lives. So this is a very beautiful read, and it will be a good choice to get out of a reading slump. So the fourth book on today's recommendation is Alice in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. So this edition which I have is anniversary 150th anniversary edition. So it has Alice in Wonderland plus Alice under in the through the looking glass and Alice in Underground. So that is why this is looking so thick. So if you just want one of this stories, it's easily available in any of this online website or the bookstores. So this is a very famous, and we used to have Alice in Wonderland as part of our English syllabus when we were in school, and I used to love this journey which she took, like the cake that she had and she turned big, and then she drank this potion and she shrunk down. So I always wanted that. So to give you an idea into the plot line, so Alice is a small girl and she was playing outside her home with her sister, and suddenly she notices there's a white rabbit who is passing by, and that rabbit is wearing a waistcoat and is carrying a pocket watch. So it's a very interesting sight. So as any child, she became curious, and as any child, she's going to follow, and that led her down to this rabbit hole, and there she have this cake which says eat me, and then this bottle of potion which says drink me. And when she eats the cake, she grows in size, and when she drinks it, she again shrinks in size and becomes very small. And she meets the Mad Hatter, the Cheshire Cat, the Queen, and it's very whimsical, because this is one of the book, even as adult, when you will read it, you would feel like you are or in a wonderland, and for one point of time your rational brain will stop and you will just enjoy this whimsical world, just almost in a childlike joy. So this was my fourth recommendation. It's also very simple language, small chapters, very generous to our current attention span. Fifth book, or the last book for today's series of recommendation, is the Chronicles of Narnia. So this was before Harry Potter became a huge blockbuster series, and we as school children, we were lost in the Hogwarts world. Narnia was there, as just like Alice took me down a rabbit hole, Narnia took me to a beautiful world with a talking lion named Aslan, and there was this Snow Queen and all. So Narnia is a 7-part series, and to give you an idea, it's a wonder world, and you can access this world through a wardrobe. And from the second, like if you watch the movie like The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, and you are looking for those children, to give you an idea, the first book on the series don't have those 4 children. They only make their appearance from the second book of the series. So that is Lewis Carroll's Narnia. It's a beautiful world with talking lions and trees and full world of fantasy. So definitely it's one of the world with and again the story flows, the language is simple. So this can be also a very good recommendation to bring you out of a reading slump or get you into the habit of reading. And since it's a 7-part series, you can start with one by one, and it's not that if you put a gap between the series you will lose plot. If you more or less remember the basic plot, even if you pick it up after a certain time, I'm sure in the 3rd or 4th book slowly it will be alright. So that was with all the recommendations. These 5 are the recommendation. I'll come up with a few more part of the series where I'll give more of children's book, and also for those of you who don't prefer children's genre, there would be other recommendation which are adult book but easy to get to, easy to finish, like not very lengthy. That was it for today, and if you have liked this video, please like and subscribe, because I will be coming up with the subsequent part very soon. And let me know in the comment which of the book which you will pick up, or if you have read this book and how you remember this book from your childhood, and if you picked up any of this and it did help you get out of a reading slump, or you liked this book and you want to continue, then let me know that as well in the comments. So that was all for today, and please do like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.